Welcome to Soundproof, where your host Shari Pine takes you backstage, down front, and behind the scenes for a look at some of entertainment's hottest musicians, producers, engineers, and other people out there on the scene today. And now, here's your host, that cool chick on a hot mic, Shari Pine.
Welcome back, everybody, to Soundproof. I am Shari Pine, still your host, and I have, well, wait a minute. Before I tell you what I have, let me ask you what you have. Did you have a happy new year? I haven't even talked to anybody, or as my Yankee ancestors might say, did you have a fucking good New Year's? Tell me. Anyway, so I would like to know, and if we have a chat at some point, maybe the producer can get us to do a chat here, then you could talk to me because I know you're all just dying to talk to me. I have today now what I have is an amazing guest. Now, I'm trying not to give it away as I introduce this wonderful person. This person is, I saw them dancing on the wind. Now, I know that that's been a motif for us here before, singing on the wind, playing on the wind. Brother Daryl, I heard, playing on the wind, and it was really windy last night and stuff like that. This person literally was dancing on the wind, and I was on the other side of the glass. Don't ask me where we were, but me being me, I just had to interrogate them immediately after. I don't even think I introduced myself. And their name is very apropos to dance, and we'll get into that. They are the founder and executive director of Funk Soul. That is F-U-N-C, Soul, one word, Funk Soul. And they are a top New York City trainer. Okay, can confirm. All right. They have been featured in New York Times, Elle Magazine, People, Spotify, the Cooking Channel, Fox. They have a lot of projects that always going on, right? They're that kind of super achiever. Without further ado, because I can go on, and I might dig a hole for myself because I need some help right now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Mr. Alistair Emmanuel Williams.
Oh my gosh. I am so honored to be here. Thank you, Shari Pine Music.
Alistair, it's so good to see you again.
Everyone, she wasn't kidding. When Shari invited me into her amazing reality, it was immediate and aggressive, and there are literally zero regrets. It's been such a blessing to have you as a model of authenticity, a model of grace, a model of joy. You really are the embodiment of just like a really friendly energy that just wants to kind of share the light and love and joy with the rest of the world. And I think that was one of the things that we definitely connected on. But it definitely is one of the lasting memories of my life, of just knowing and experiencing good people in the world. So I just say thank you to that, because you really are one of those people. And I mean, I have I'm sure you probably do too. You probably have a list of people you're just like, you have to meet this person. It may never happen, but if you have to meet this person. And I have a good girlfriend, her name is Jevney. She's like the spirit of God, at least to me. And she's just a beautiful energy. I have a number of other people, maybe a list of like 5 people of you have to meet. Shari, you'd have to be, you were absolutely on that top 5. Like,
I can't wait to meet me.
Yeah, so that you're on that list because you just are so outstanding. So thank you for the relationship.
Oh my goodness, thank you. And as gosh, people, you gotta have somebody like that in your life, because even if you don't touch base for a few months, they're still up here in the 4. And a good friend, right? A good friend is somebody that you can pick up right where you left off, even if it was 2 years of pandemic.
Well, Shari, you like, it was so interesting because you reached out to me. You're like, hey, I'm doing this podcast. You want to do it? And I was just like, is it didn't feel, my relationship with you or my love of you is just so real, where it didn't feel like that was a question. You know what I'm saying? It was more like you could have said to me via message, Alistair, like, I need you on Monday, or I need you on Tuesday at this time, or whatever day it is, you know, and let's do it. And I'd be like, oh yeah, of course, it's Shari. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, I didn't want to be presumptuous. And I don't want to forget, you mentioned God and you mentioned Alistair, your name. And I want to kick off, I want to save the best for last. God. Is that awful of me to save the best for last?
I know where you're going though. Yeah, I can know.
But and I know that, I know that you're down with that. Everybody, Alistair knows. But your name, let's start from the beginning. Let's talk about how you got your name, Alistair. Let's talk about your dancing. Let's talk about your training. Let's talk about, guys, we've sung together on a show or two. Let's talk about all of it. And maybe let's not save God for last. Let's just throw him in and out of all of this. Ready and go.
Well, first, can I just start by apologizing to you, Shari, about one of the shows that we did. And I know that you remember this show. So everyone listening, I have a quick story. I won't stay here long.
Oh, no.
But it was me and Shari. We were Shari graciously, the amazing voice, this superstar talent, Shari, who had never really heard me sing until rehearsals. She invited me to sing in this show in New York. It was a big deal. But I come from a musical theater background, and so did my girlfriend, who was singing with us at the time. I got a friend of mine. And the funny thing is that we had a rehearsal maybe 2 or 3 days beforehand. Great rehearsal, great vibe. We got to New York. We were there to perform, and then Shari's like, "Oh yeah, where's your lyrics, y'all?" Because in my brain, also in my friend's brain, we had never even thought about bringing the lyrics on stage with us. We never even thought about that, because as a performer, especially, you're supposed to be off book, for stage time. But we should have brought the lyrics with us, because literally my brain was going, Shari singing one song, I'm singing the backup for another song, and all I'm doing is just saying, God, please let me just unify this as much as humanly possible with Shari. And I have felt horrible ever since, because again, I'm not just singing with with myself. I'm singing with the Shari in New York, and again, I just want to say thank you so much for that opportunity. I'm sure you probably couldn't care less now, but at that moment it was very, very real. I feel so bad all these years later.
Oh man, no, it was great.
You killed it.
It was great. And actually, lyrics on the stage, you're right. Sometimes they have them and sometimes they don't, but whatever. It was just like a fun night. Who gives a stinking,
You killed it. You really killed it.
No, it was good. It was good. And, about you, let's go on. Okay. So how did you get your name, Alistair?
Sorry, everyone. This is me and Shari catching up, and I apologize because
y'all gonna have to stick with it.
My name came from my father. My father is Jamaican, and I'm assuming, this is my assumption, that when the British colonized Jamaica, there were all of these English names going around, and my father happened to love Alistair. And Alistair means, and there are two definitions that I have found over the course of my life. It means great protector of the world or defender of men. Yeah, and that came from my father, and then my mother, I believe, my father named me Emmanuel, which means God is with us. And the one thing that my mother would say to me all of the time, typically before I was leaving to go to a club, y'all, but she would say to me all of the time, remember who you are, remember your name.
I love her. Can we get her on?
I'm sure she'd be down. Remember who you are, remember your name. And she would, and literally, she said it was like a mantra in the house. So there's a part of me that really identifies with the ability to serve other people, to help other people, to support other people. And I think that definitely is in alignment with my name. And of course, you know me well with how deeply spiritual I am. So Emmanuel, being God is with us. That's very, very real for me. So I'm just grateful for my name. I'm grateful for, and this is actually my birth name. So I actually have a spiritual name that I've named myself as well. And I just love both of them so much. So it's just they did, my mom and dad did a great job.
We can see, and they're all going to see very soon. Wait a minute. So let me ask you, I thought once upon a time, we talked about how your mom, how you danced like Fred Astaire. And so Alistair, nothing to do with that. I thought it was.
It's typically, if people are asking me, and that could have been the story. That could have been the story I told you then. I have no idea. But
right. Because I was interrogating you and you didn't know who the hell I was. So, okay.
So that could have been a story. But I typically tell people Fred Astaire because it's just an easy way for them to understand Alistair. And then with my dance background, it's like, yeah, like Fred Astaire. Like I like the dance of Fred Astaire. Exactly.
So tell us about your dance background from the get-go, from the start, everything. Ready?
So I would say that my dancing began, I'm sure, someplace in church, like through liturgical dancing or something, right? I can't pinpoint it specifically because my relationship with church and ministry is it's so pure to my soul, so that anything everything just felt like one big, spiritual experience at that time. But I think that I got serious about the whole dance world when I got into musical theater around like my freshman year of high school. So I started off dancing very, very late. Actually, I started dancing so late that I was actually in a ballet class with like 8-year-olds and I was 16. Yeah. So
that takes a lot of character. That's a lot of humility right there. And you really do exude humility.
Oh, Shari, that's one of my
tell us about them little bitches.
Well, it's so great. So listen, humility for me is I'm looking at my core values on the wall over here. So I have 3 like primary core values: grace, growth, and gratitude. Like that's my foundation. That's the aim. That's my North Star. Grace, the ability to allow people to exist and to allow the world to exist and to allow myself to exist as I am, Gratitude, just being grateful for every small thing because every small thing has the infinite in it, right? And then grace, growth, and then growth, just the advancement of myself, working on myself, dealing with myself, growing myself. That's growth. But I also have like 3 like secondary core values, and they rotate according to where I am in my life. But one of them is humility. And Shari, that has been the hardest one, because for me, I, as you know, I'm a very, very friendly person. I'm a very, very nice person. I'm personable. Like I want to talk to everyone in the room, right?
But you're a leader.
But I'm a leader, and thank you for that's it. It is so hard when you have been living, or when I have been living at that level of leadership, to be like, I have to come down off of this. You know what I'm saying? I have to come off of this pedestal, because at a certain point in my life, I always thought leadership was being in charge and being the top. But now my definition of leadership is service. Now my definition of leadership is the service of us, the service of community, the service of our goals and our dreams, by using my life as the ministry. So it's just interesting that you used humility in conversation, because it has nothing to do with this story about the ballet class. But I guess
we can make it part.
We can tie it in. On some level, I think that it did require a lot of humility. And I think in hindsight, thank you for saying it, I'm processing this out loud for the first time. It really, to me, it shows me how serious I was about musical theater, because my first show was in like 8th grade, my freshman year. And I didn't actually start taking dance classes until I was a junior in high school. And I had gotten a show at NJ Pack, and it was like a big deal. And it was just gorgeous and beautiful. It really inspired me. And then from there, I used, my director invited me to go take classes with her. So I started taking classes with her. And the only class they had at the very, very intro level was with the 8-year-olds. And it was challenging to kind of go to do that. Cause I mean, I'm wearing tights and, you know, my package is all out and all of that, you know, like it's a lot of, can I say that? Forgive me. It's just a lot of Alistair, you know, it's a lot of,
Right.
especially to be around 8-year-olds. But it was my passion, musical theater. And that's how I got into dance, was through musical theater. Yeah. And I just kept up with that over the course of, you know, years, did my own projects along the way, taught dance classes, taught liturgical dancing at churches, you know, got over to a program in New York, and that really catapulted my career, at least in the wellness space. But I think the biggest thing with my dance work in New York is to help me to see myself and believe in my talent and my light and my power again. And now with Funk Soul, my current company, I have the beautiful ability to kind of share the gift, the joy, the love of dance with more people, less for like theater work or performance work, but really, really grounded in self-expression. Because I really do believe that we all need, especially right now, more outlets of self-expression. And dance has been a wonderful tool for me. And I love sharing it with the rest of the world. So that's the whole spiel on dance for me.
Wait, so that was an excellent spiel. Wow. And you know, that was all like just off the top of his head.
Oh, yeah. Just
musical
I'm just
theater.
trying to live authentically, like Shari. You know, it just comes out, it just flows. You know?
Thank you, Del. Okay, so you said I do take a note or two to bring me back. So you said musical theater led to dance. Mm-hmm. Can I just ask you what your top favorite, like your 3 top or 5 top musical theater shows are?
Oh my gosh! So okay,
or 3 if you can't do 4.
Oh yeah. This will be an easy one. So Shari, and I hope that everyone at home. This is me talking about humility, but I'm going to tell you this is why this is a great tie-in to the core value of humility. It's rotating. Is that like everyone's going to be so jealous of me? Don't hate me, everyone. But
we hate your teeth are so white already. But
love my teeth, and I know that's like, when I say don't hate me, I think you're all going to enjoy this story. So I had a dream one night that I won the tickets to see Hamilton. and I literally the next day got to the Hamilton show doors. And this is back in the day when the lottery was outside and on the street. And there were there had to be a good 300 plus people just on the street trying to get Hamilton tickets with the original Broadway cast. And my friend, it was crazy. And my friend and I, we were running over from Blockheads, which is now closing. Shari, have you been to Blockheads? I'm sure you have. Blockheads on like 50th or something.
Oh, I've been living under a rock. No.
So I went to Blockheads, and then we were running late. I had all these drinks and stuff. I ran from Blockheads, which was like this Mexican, this awesome like Mexican location that's closing down. It's heartbreaking.
From the Hamdemic?
Yeah, I'm assuming so. I don't know.
All right. So you're in line to get tickets.
In line to get tickets. And we're running late, and there's already 300 people there. They get my name. They put the name into the basket, right? It's at the top. No one's ever choosing the name at the top from the basket when you have 300 people around you, right? But I knew, I knew I was going to win because I had a dream. Just talking about the Spirit of God, right? I knew that I was going to win. We won the tickets. I saw Hamilton. That's one of my favorite shows. It really changed my life because it helped me to see people of color in the narrative of history and in the narrative of the stage. And I had never seen it done in that way before, where I felt so included. So that's definitely one. The other one is In the Heights. I didn't see it actually on Broadway. I saw In the Heights in concert in Washington Heights. And I think, Shari, that Lin-Manuel just bought that theater, or he's working with the theater as like artistic
It used to
director.
be the $2 theater because, I am from the Heights, and I didn't even have to see the movie or see the Broadway show because I lived it.
I didn't know that. Did you?
Washington Heights.
I had no idea that. Yeah. So are you familiar with that theater at all?
Yeah, it was a $2 theater. Everybody in there, baby used to go there.
That's weird to me, because it's weird to me to hear that, because y'all, when you go to this theater, it looks like a Buddhist temple. Like it is.
It's very ornate. Wait, is that the one? Let me just be clear. Is it on 181st?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But this is the one that, like, I don't know. Like it, but just walking in, it was pretty flabbergasting to walk into, you know, this gorgeous, massive temple, you know, in the middle of like I don't want to say it was nowhere, but it wasn't in the theater district. You know what I'm saying? So
Of course. So maybe it was on St. Nick because I mean, you know, Harlem and Washington Heights and Morningside Heights and all of that that had like everything. That was like the country compared
wow,
to 72nd Street. And so they built out there.
really?
Yeah. So he just bought that theater.
Oh, and I'm like, so tell me more about what you know about Washington Heights, Shari. Like, that's what my brain was doing.
I know plátanos maduros. That's what I know.
Hello, my favorite. So I saw In the Heights there, and it was way after the show had actually it was already off Broadway at that time, and it was like a pep rally for like the Latino community, and literally there was every kind of flag, and it was just turned up. I cried probably the first half of the show because it was just so beautiful to see that this Latino community is being represented in such a massive way. It was almost like Lin-Manuel was the people's champ, and he was going out and they were all cheering on for representing them. It was very, very powerful and beautiful. So I saw that. And then my last show would be Once on This Island, which was the show that I did at NJ Pack. And
that won a lot of awards, didn't it?
Yeah,
Once on This Island. Wait, so you performed that at NJ Pack?
NJ Pack, yeah.
Tell us about that.
It was it was a full circle moment, Shari, because I remember years before, and like I was like, I would say like 8 or 9, and my mom was buying Christmas presents for the family, and NJ Pack, I'm assuming it just opened at that time. So she was going to buy gift certificates for them to attend and see a show.
Nice.
And I remember us driving into this new, like, brandy new, gorgeous theater with like, it's at the time, NJ Pack was like the 6th largest performing arts center in all of the country. I don't know if it is now, or 5 or 6. So it was just gorgeous. I remember just driving in, just being so blown away by it. And, you know, it was so beautiful to have that moment. And it was a very, very specific moment. I literally can still see it in my head now. But it was a full circle, beautiful moment where I then got to perform in a lead role at this location, NJ Pack, Once on This Island. And it was just one of those experiences that if I didn't believe in God before, I definitely believed in him right then and there, because it was just a beautiful full circle moment.
I love how we're like sort of praising the Lord in and out of this story here. Wait, so that's like that's considered regional theater, or what is that?
It's like community.
No, that's huge. Regional theater is like huge.
Yeah. So that was a youth group that had a residency at NJ Pack. So it was like community theater, but it felt very regional because it's at NJ Pack, you know? So it was really cool.
Of course. Once on This Island, that won a lot of awards.
Really good.
Okay, so can I all right. I want to talk about church and your Prodigal, church, project, if you don't mind. But I also want to talk about the training, because you're a motivational speaker, you're a motivational trainer. We've heard that you are motivational everything, lifting people up, et cetera, et cetera. Talk about, please, if you would, the training, the personal training, the bodybuilding, the incorporating your movement and fitness into that area of.
It's weird, Shari. Like it's so. I wish I could say that it was all conscious. It really wasn't. Like a lot of it was just me.
So basically, you were unconscious while you were training people.
Like like the whole way of getting into it was just like I was blessed, truly blessed, to be featured in the New York Times as one of the top trainers. Like, I can't tell you what that was. That was just literally me having a wonderful supportive community who was able to kind of get me there, as well as just living, in as much of my truth as I was conscious of at that time. And dance just became the vehicle for me to help people, in their self-care. And that's what dance really, really is. And that's the type of trainer that I am.
You're such a good dancer. I mean, let's just pause for a moment. People, I have seen him dance.
Thank
I have
you.
seen him dance. I've seen him dance live. I've seen him dance on social media. I
Thank
have seen
you.
him dance live. Wait, so I know I interrupted, but and yes, my producer does ask me to rein that in a little, and I think I've been good.
Oh my gosh, you've been perfect. Oh my gosh.
Your training, was it ballet? Was it jazz? Was it street? Was it
Yeah.
everything?
It was everything. It
Everything.
was, and it was everything over the course of time too, right? So like initially it was the ballet, it was the jazz, it was the theater, you know, with the 8-year-olds, right? But then after a while, you take classes here, you take a class here, you go to Elle, you know, you try different things. So
But you went to Alvin Ailey a little bit?
Their extension program. But
Oh my
yeah,
God, that's you on the poster. It's
I,
on 9th Avenue and like 55th Street. And I think I might have texted you a few years ago as I'm walking by. Snap, snap. Is this you, man?
I would not doubt it. I would not doubt. Well, let me rephrase this. Let me be clear. It's definitely not me, everyone. But because that's the power of representation. Is that like I got to see myself. I got to see other dancers at Ailey who looked like me and gave me so much inspiration in life and joy. So I mean, you know, it's been a little bit of everything over the course of my life, but my dance career at least. But really, it's in hindsight, it's always been grounded in self-care. It's always been grounded in self-expression, as opposed to technique. But for me, I didn't know that until much, much later.
But your form is so classic. It's so on, like whatever you're like, you know, when you would break down the Beyonce video, you had a show or you had a space or something where you were breaking down the latest videos of songs of like top stars like Beyonce and Lizzo or whoever, and you would have a class that was dancing, like you're a choreographer.
Well, you know what it is, Shari, and you know this well. Like it's from my years of teaching children. Like everything, and like I'll never forget, Shari. You were I think we went to like your kid's school for something, and like it wasn't for you. I was going there to teach a dance class or something, and we just like crossed paths. We were like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing here?" It was like a while back. I want to say it was for Purim, actually, if I have it correctly. I don't remember. I could be making all of this up, but no, but I was at this school. I was at this school, and literally those experiences for me working with kids, and I think during that entire time that you knew me, I was really working with kids at the time. Like it gave me really great like instructional skill. It gave me really great classroom management, and I definitely have taken those skills with me into the adult programming. I wouldn't mind teaching children again. It's just not on my list of things to do in the next like now, but
in the next now,
like I just isn't like, you know what I'm saying, it's just not on my list.
Not on my list in the next now.
But without question, you know, it's such a blessing to have had so many of these wonderful experiences, because they really are showing up in a variety of areas of my life. 100%.
Let's talk about Prodigal Church.
Ooh. Now we're speaking my language. We're speaking the language of the present moment. Actually, this whole conversation.
Do you need a costume change or?
Oh,
wait.
God. Shari, you have to have me back on your show. I'm just going to ask you that just in advance. No, it doesn't have to be soon. Okay. But like, we should have like a whole, like you and me just gab about any question, not about me. But okay, all that being said, so I was called to the ministry around my freshman year of high school. And the best way of explaining to you what being called to the ministry feels like is that being called to the ministry feels like a mosquito is chasing you and is desperate to be your friend. And that mosquito will not go away for 20 years. And that's honestly what it feels like, having a calling. It's like, please, dear God, don't bite me, don't bite me, don't bite me, don't bite me. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to be in ministry. I just want to be Alistair. And of course, this mosquito is like, I'm going to chase you until you actually acknowledge me. And, you know, I knew the calling in my freshman year of high school. It just feels so wonderful that calling is the foundation for Funk Soul. And the whole purpose of Funk Soul is to help folks improve their quality of life through the modalities of self-care, self-improvement, self-expression, and spirituality. Additionally, it really, really is grounded in community. So in some regard, although this is not by any means the traditional church experience that I thought I would be, like I thought, like my mom's a pastor, so I always thought I would have the traditional experience with the, a pastor, pastoring with the church and the stained glass windows. But, again, just tying back into that spirit of authenticity, my authentic, ministry and my authentic church is really grounded in helping people to lead themselves, helping people to create their own identities, helping people to self-evolve, helping people to be the best version of themselves that they see themselves to be. And I think that so many of us know that, like, it's just, it's there's not a lot of people supporting that kind of energy. There are lots of naysayers, lots of critics, lots of judgmental folks, and just the same. And having been one of those people at various areas of my life, I totally get it. But now with my ministry, I just want to be a space where I and my community can say, we believe in you. It's not a no for us. It's like, how do we figure out what your vision is? How do we help you figure it out? How do we support you? How do we push you so that you can really, really thrive in this dream of yours? And that's what I call and consider, the prodigal church. It's the church that's returning back to love, to support you, to love you in just being you. And that's my definition of it.
Oh, you heard it here, folks. That's his story, and he's sticking to it. Wait, so it's your prodigal church is in here? It's in here.
Yes, Shari. My definition of church is that every single one of us individually is the church, because we all
got to represent. Okay.
We all manifest, we all hold the spirit of life. And for me, the spirit of life is the closest thing that we will ever know of what God is, right? Like that's the only thing, like life in its purest form. Now, there probably is even a larger version of God that we don't even have any clear understanding about, but life is the one practical thing that we all know. And I believe that to me is God. And because we all hold the spirit of life, we're all manifestations of God, which means that our bodies are physically the literal temples of God, right? And at the end of the day, that makes you a church, that makes me a church. And we have the ability to create impactful experiences, inspirational experiences solely through the ministry of our lives. And my desire, and I put this, and if you all go to my website or go to Funk Soul on Instagram at Funk Soul, FUNCSOUL, you'll be able to see the lookbook where it really kind of just lists firsthand. You can see it's not about you following me. It truly, truly isn't. It's about you leading yourself and me cheering you on, and me leading myself and you cheering me on.
You have always been a cheerleader. You've been a leader, and you've always been a cheerleader, which has always attracted me to you. Leaders tend to create leaders, not followers.
Right.
And okay, so I want to ask you, so our church is in here, or our spirit of God is in here, and wherever we go, we represent. Do you also have a physical space where people can come and get all of this?
Well, don't you just the coolest thing about this process, Shari, is that my physical space is, listen to this. Well, let me actually, I'm amping this up. Let me not amp it up. The physical space is the virtual world. How much more spiritual can we get?
Oh my gosh, here we go. Right.
Hello?
We are reaching towards the heavens, literally.
Hello? Like, our consciousness.
I can't believe I just said that, like where your physical space would be, because I was thinking of studio, because like you have been all over every studio in New York City doing your thing. Okay, so but now, all right, I forgot pandemic, because like for me, there is no pandemic, because I am just like completely entrusting in him So, okay, the virtual reality is our space now.
Yes.
But
And
what
then,
if somebody wants to touch you?
yeah, so that great question. So at the end of
Where can we touch you?
where can we touch? Everyone, please touch me.
Give your address.
At the end of each semester, we have a big festival.
Okay.
And the big festival is the Prodigal Church, experience. And that's where it's going to be a platform for like everyone. If you want to do a TED Talk, do a TED Talk. If you want to do a dance performance, do a dance performance. There'll be an open mic and an open house, and I'll be speaking and I'll be teaching. And essentially it's the idea of like, we have been in the virtual reality space for, let's say, 4, 5, 6 months. This is our big dance recital. This is our big church service. This is our big come to Jesus. This is the opportunity where we all plug in with each other. So that's coming in June. And the beautiful thing with the Prodigal Church, and I'll wrap up here, the beautiful thing with the Prodigal Church is that we're doing our first church service in June, which is Pride Month. And that is our statement to the LGBTQIA plus community that they are very, very much a part of the church, and bringing them back into the fold. Because of course, actually, that's not even true at all. The real truth is that we're bringing everyone, the LGBTQ community and anyone who may feel excluded, as well as the church, back to the space of love, back to the space of home, back to the space of a shared common and good. And it has nothing to do with even just the Pride Month. It's just the opportunity of using Pride Month as an opportunity for unity of everybody. So that's what that is.
Wait, so hold on a second. I heard something very interesting. So it's not so much of bringing people back to church, but it's bringing the church back to love.
Exactly.
What's up with that?
Well, thank you, Shari. You were asking wonderful questions of a person that I would think is like plugged in, like to their source. And I just want to acknowledge that, because doing these interviews, you get a lot of cookie cutter questions, but you're asking questions that speak my language spiritually. And so I'm just grateful for that.
Language. Thank you.
So the question was, so again, if we are the embodiments, if our bodies are the temples that hold the spirit of life and God, making us individually the church, right? I think that what has happened with all of us, and I'll speak for myself, especially after the pandemic, especially after Black Lives Matter, really serious situations that our society has gone through culturally, right? For me, what I had to do is say, Alistair, you can't say that you're the Prodigal Church director, while you also judge those who don't align with your ideology. And that's what I'm saying. It's time for me, as the church of God, to return back home to a space of love, empathy, understanding, unity. That's my job individually. Doesn't have to. I'm not talking about a collective church. I'm not talking about I'm talking about an individual person who is saying, I represent, the Spirit of God. And because I represent it, I really, really, really want to return back to home, to the good of our community, the good of our humanity, the good of our souls. And that's the returning back home.
So would this be correct? Alistair brings, quote, his church back to the Spirit of God?
I would say no, I wouldn't say that. Only because, let me also say this. I have no idea.
That's good, because it was going to be my title. No.
Well, I would say Alistair cheers. I don't know how to say this, because for me, I'll explain to you how in my brain, how I see my role. I see myself as like a small scale, local level Oprah. Like, that's how I see myself. Like, my role is not so much to be even clearer with you. The only reason why I'm doing Funk Soul is selfishly. Like, I selfishly enjoy, the service of, self-care, self-improvement, self-expression, spiritual. I'm doing it selfishly for myself, right? So it's not, and it just so happens that my selfishness actually is in service to others, right? So I don't want people to follow me and as the gospel or as the church. I want to encourage people to follow themselves.
You want to give them the tools.
Exactly. Right.
Right.
And then you invite me to your church service, invite me to your funk soul, invite me to your Prodigal Church. I'll invite you to mine. And that's the end goal, Shari, across the board, is to help everyone do the exact same thing that I'm doing, whether big like I'm doing or small like I'm doing. I think that we all have the opportunity of being a church for our community, because our church is going to be very, very unique for us. Like mine is self-care, self-improvement, self-expression, spirituality, and community. Yours is music, right? I would love to be a member of the, let me rephrase this. I am so grateful to be a member of the Church of Shari, because I very much feel alive. I feel God when you write your music, when you record your music. I feel it coming through your authenticity. So again, it's don't follow me, don't follow Shari. Go to her church, come to my church, but start a church of your own, because you truly, truly are the body of God. You are really the temple that holds the body of God in life. So if that makes sense.
Get an amen. You're preaching. Well, guys, there's nowhere to go now but down, because he's brought us all the way up. I'm going to thank you, and God bless you for coming. Will you be my Oprah?
I won't be. Listen, I will not be your Oprah. I will be Oprah for myself. And if that blesses you, then 100%. 100%.
Well, we want to thank you. I know viewers are going to just be knocked out by this, and they're going to be hungry for more. Alistair Emmanuel Williams, ladies and gentlemen. And I look forward to speaking to you again. And I want to thank you for just being so open and loving.
Anytime.
And all right, we will see you very soon, Alistair.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shari Pine Music. Love it, love it, love it. Oh, Shari, I was singing your song recently. I know what song it was, but it was a song that you just came up with. It was so catchy. It was the most recent one. I think it was like our Alone Together. That was it. Yeah.
We're going to have to talk about that. Let's go talk about that. Sorry, guys. We'll see you later. Come, Alistair.